Hey there and welcome. This is Laura Lynn with Keep Picking Up. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in San Antonio, Texas. And today I wanted to share some ideas on making some quick and easy cards. And you know me, I love quick and easy cards, and I actually really love one-layer cards. So we're going to do a one-layer card again today. If you follow me at all, you know that I love to do these. So I'm going to begin with a sheet of our thick basic white cardstock. So this is 11 inches by 4 1/4 inches, scored and folded in half at 5 1/2. And I have a piece of grid paper here to protect my work surface, and I'm going to begin with some balmy blue ink. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to use one of my blending brushes to create a soft background. Now, I have a collection of blending brushes. I do not have one for each and every color. I have one for every type of color. So for example, this is labeled light blue, so I use it for all of my light blue ink colors. So I'm going to use it for balmy blue, my pool party, any light blue inks, and then I have a dark blue, I have a light green, dark green, yellow, orange, red, pink, brown. You get the idea. So I don't have 40 blending brushes. I'm not sure exactly how many I have. I don't know that I've counted them ever, but I know I have probably a little more than a dozen. I love blending brushes. So I'm going to load up some balmy blue ink on my blending brush. And then I'm going to take a little bit off on my grid paper. Oh, it doesn't look like I picked up much ink. So let me add some more ink because we do need to have some ink on there. But I'm going to rub off some ink, and then I'm going to come to my card base and I'm going to add some ink. And I just want a soft, isn't that lovely? I'm just adding a soft amount of balmy blue ink, and I just want to add a background. I am just trying to blend a background of color onto my card base. And you can keep adding ink, but you can't take it away, so you need to decide when to stop. Sometimes that's the hardest thing I have to do, is to stop. But again, I'm going to get some off on my grid paper, and then I'm going to come and just continue to swirl on the ink until I think that I have a nice soft background for what I'm going to be stamping. I think that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and close up my ink pad, because you know me, I'll get my fingers in there and then I will get ink smudges on my card, and I do not want that. So I'm going to close that up and put that aside. And next I'm going to stamp with Gorgeous Grape with a flower image from our Painted Lavender stamp set. I love these floral images, but you will notice that this stamp set does not have any sentiments, so we will need to go to a different stamp set for images. So again, I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape for my floral image. This is it looks like, I guess it's lavender. So I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm going to stamp it. Let's go up toward the top here. I'm going to let it sit for just a couple of seconds to let that ink transfer. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to stamp it again to do some generational stamping on either side of that dark one. And what that does is it creates a lovely tone of the different Gorgeous Grape colors. Then I will close this ink pad up for now, and then I move on to Garden Green ink. So for Garden Green ink, I'm going to do my stems. So I have my stem from the same stamp set. So I'll ink up my Garden Green stems, and I will stamp that right down there. Lovely. And close that up. And now all I need is a sentiment. So like I said, there aren't any sentiments in this stamp set, so I went to the Spotlight on Nature stamp set to use this thanks. I'm always needing thank you cards, because people are, you know, in general, people are wonderful, and so I'm always sending out stamp sets for, or not stamp sets, I'm always sending out cards to thank people for being so kind. So that's where that comes from. And I have already mounted my thanks onto my block. Now, just a reminder, the way I did this is I used my grid paper, and I placed my block on my grid paper and aligned it with some grid. And then when I placed the image on there, the sentiment, I looked through the image and made sure that it lined up with a grid line below. So now I know that my block, my sentiment, is aligned on my block. So now I can use my block to make sure that my sentiment is nice and straight. So I'm going to stamp this sentiment in Gorgeous Grape. So I'll open that ink pad up again, and I'm going to tap, tap, tap to get ink on just the sentiment. It's inked up nicely. So now I'm going to use my block to line it on the edge of the card so I know that it's nice and straight. And lovely, there it is. Now that's my sentiment is nice and straight, and that is a 1-layer card. A very quick and easy 1-layer card. You can use any images that you want. The idea is to use your blending brush to create a nice soft background that's behind your stamped images, and then add your sentiment and your stamped images on there. So that's a lovely thank you card. Wouldn't this make a great set of thank you cards to send as a gift for somebody? Like I said, I'm always needing thank you cards, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. So I will probably make a bunch of these and give them as gifts. So what I also want to do, let me close this up before I get ink everywhere. That is a disaster waiting to happen. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and share some other card samples where I use the same idea. So in this particular card, I used boho blue to swirl in using it, and I believe I probably used the light blue blending brush for that as well. I just rubbed off as much ink as possible on some scratch paper to make sure the brush was, relatively clean, and I used the same brush to put the boho blue on this one, and then I stamped an image from the Spotlight on Nature, that flower image right there. But I wanted to create a silhouette look, so what I did is I just used my black Stampin' Blends to color it in to make a silhouette flower. And then you'll see the speckles, they're also from this stamp set, that little stamp image right there. And then to step this one up a little bit, I did use the same thanks for this, but to step it up a little bit, I embossed a layer using the this is the Distressed Tile embossing folder, and then I layered it on a mat of basic white, and then I placed it all on a white, basic white thick cardstock again. So that is another sample. Here is another one where I probably used the dark blue blending brush for this one. This is the Azure Afternoon color. It's a little bit darker blue, but you can see that I added a bit more intense blue on this one. And then I added the coordinating cardstock, the Azure Afternoon cardstock for a matte layer. And then this leaf image is again from the Spotlight on Nature that I just colored with my blends. And then the Happy Birthday sentiment actually is from, let me find it here, the Attention Shoppers stamp set. This Happy Birthday right here. And so that is another example of using the same idea. Here is another card using the Attention Shoppers. This one used the cake image that I colored with my blends and die cut with the coordinating dies. And then the background, it's really hard to see. It's very subtle on this particular card, but this is our basic beige cardstock, and I used a blending brush with the basic beige ink. So it's just a very, very subtle kind of a halo of a color, but it's enough to give a little bit of a background to my image there. And then, of course, that Happy Birthday is from the Attention Shoppers. And then I embossed this layer with the Basics 3D, the Basics 3D embossing folders. This is the polka dot one. And like I said, if you followed my previous videos, you see I did use a thick basic white card base, and I just placed the basic beige on top of that card base. So there's another example. And then my final example is actually using our note cards and envelopes. So this is a smaller card, and I used a retired coastal weave embossing folder for the card base layer. Again, this is just on our note card envelope. And then this is the bouquet from the Attention Shoppers stamp set, die cut out and placed on top of a layer that was cut using the retired scalloped contours dies, and I used a yellow blending brush to add the background on that. The Happy Birthday sentiment is of course from the Attention Shoppers, and then I did add some retired iridescent jewels there to create a little bling on there. So anyway, so those are some examples of using the same idea. I hope that you use this idea. Use your blending brushes to create a soft background to place your stamped images or your die cut images on top, and then just add a sentiment and you're done. A really quick and easy way to make wonderful, beautiful cards using any stamp sets, any images and sentiments that you have. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.